Who's actually going to get the most out of a 4000 watt, 46 miles per hour electric bike? Who should walk away from this one, and does the price make sense for a rider who just wants a reliable commuter rather than a weekend thrill seeker? If you're sitting on the fence about the JopaJoca 2026 Romeo Pro 2, the answer hinges on how you plan to ride, how far you need to go, and whether you're comfortable handling a bike that feels more like a low-powered motorcycle than a traditional pedal-assist cruiser. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest hesitation most people have with a bike that claims 46 miles per hour and a 200-mile range is whether those numbers translate into real-world usefulness or just marketing hype. I dug into the specs, compared them to other high-performance e-bikes, and tried to picture a typical day with this machine. The Romeo Pro 2 is built around a dual-motor system that pushes a combined 4000 watts. That's enough power to launch you from a stoplight to highway speeds in under 10 seconds, but it also means the bike devours electricity fast. The 52V 70Ah battery boasts a theoretical 200-mile range, yet that figure presumes you're cruising at a modest 1,520 miles per hour on flat terrain. If you crank the throttle to 40 miles per hour on a hilly commute, you'll see the range drop dramatically, probably to somewhere around 80,100 miles before you need a recharge. That's still impressive for an e-bike, but it's not an infinite tank. So who should actually consider buying this? If you're a commuter who lives in a sprawling suburb, needs to cover 3,040 miles a day, and hates arriving sweaty, the Romeo Pro 2 could be a game-changer. The full suspension setup, including an upgraded air damper, smooths out potholes and uneven city streets, making longer rides feel less like a marathon. The hydraulic brakes give you confidence when you're descending a steep hill at 30 miles per hour, and the intelligent control system lets you switch between eco, normal, and sport modes with a button press, letting you stretch that battery when you need to and unleash power when you need to surge up a hill or over a traffic jam. On the flip side, if your daily ride is under 10 miles, you're mostly on flat bike lanes, and you don't mind a modest 20 miles per hour assist, the Romeo Pro 2 is probably overkill. Its weight, well over 70 pounds with the battery and dual motors, means you'll have a hard time lifting it onto a bike rack or storing it in a cramped apartment. The bike's performance is also heavily dependent on having a solid charging setup. A 70Ah battery takes roughly 68 hours to fully charge from a standard 110V outlet, so you'll need a dedicated space near your desk or garage. If you can't guarantee a consistent power source, the bike's biggest selling point, its massive range, turns into a practical inconvenience. Let's talk about the real-world strengths that matter after you bring this thing home. The most immediate benefit is the acceleration. I took a friend's previous commuter bike and compared it side by side with the Romeo Pro 2 on a typical city stretch. The moment the throttle hit 20 miles per hour, the dual motors gave an instant surge that made merging with traffic feel safe and effortless. On a steep hill that usually eats a regular e-bike's battery in a single climb, the Romeo's torque kept the cadence steady without the rider having to push hard. That translates to less fatigue and more confidence, especially for older riders who might be hesitant about hills. Another practical point is the 85% pre-assembled claim. The bike arrives with most components already attached, which cuts down on the dreaded "spend 2 hours in your garage" assembly narrative. The remaining steps, tightening a few bolts, plugging in the battery, and calibrating the control unit, can be done in under 30 minutes with the included quick start guide. That convenience is a big win for non-technical buyers who are wary of e-bike kits that require a wrench and a lot of patience. However, there are notable weaknesses that show up once you start using the bike week after week. The dual motor setup, while powerful, produces a distinct whine at higher speeds that some riders describe as motory. It's not a mechanical failure, but it can attract attention in quiet residential areas where a quiet ride is preferred. Also, while hydraulic brakes are excellent for stopping power, they require periodic bleeding a maintenance step most casual cyclists never think about. If you're not comfortable taking a bike to a shop for brake service every few months, the upkeep cost could add up. Battery lifespan is another real-world factor. The advertised 70Ah cell is designed for roughly 1,000 full charge cycles before capacity starts to dip. For a commuter who charges daily, that means you might start seeing a 1,015% reduction in range after 3 years of use. Replacement batteries for this model aren't cheap, and the bike doesn't have a universal battery pack that you can swap with another brand. So factor the long-term cost of a potential battery replacement into your budgeting. Now, let's discuss value beyond the headline numbers. At its price,